William Frawley. William Frawley will always be remembered as Fred Mertz, the cranky yet lovable landlord from the classic sitcom I Love Lucy. His comedic chemistry with Vivian Vance was unforgettable, and his razor-sharp timing helped cement the show's legendary status. But off-camera, that was a whole different story. Frawley was nothing like his charming on-screen persona. He had a fiery temper, a gruff attitude, and a well-known drinking problem that made him a nightmare behind the scenes. His struggles with alcohol were no secret, and his habit of showing up intoxicated made filming unpredictable. To keep him in check, Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz enforced a strict rule: 3 strikes. If he arrived drunk or disrupted production 3 times, he was out. Even with the threat of being fired hanging over him, Frawley managed to keep his job for the full 9 seasons of I Love Lucy, but not without plenty of drama. He constantly clashed with co-stars and crew, and his most infamous feud was with Vivian Vance, his on-screen wife, Ethel Mertz. The two reportedly despised each other so much that they refused to speak when the cameras weren't rolling. Their real-life hostility somehow translated into brilliant comedic chemistry on screen, but behind the scenes, it was nothing short of toxic. Love him or hate him, Frawley's portrayal of Fred Mertz remains legendary, even if working with him was a nightmare. Milton Berle. Milton Berle was a true pioneer of television, often credited with bringing the medium into the mainstream during its earliest days. Dubbed Uncle Milty and Mr. Television, his unmatched charisma and razor-sharp comedic timing made him one of the most recognizable figures of TV's golden age. His impact on comedy and television history is undeniable, but behind the cameras, that was another story. Berle had a reputation for being domineering, egotistical, and downright difficult to work with. His over-the-top personality often made him controlling and unprofessional, leaving many colleagues frustrated by his antics. One of the biggest scandals of Berle's career was his shameless habit of stealing jokes and entire comedy routines from other performers. While borrowing material wasn't unheard of in early comedy, Berle took it to another level, blatantly claiming others' work as his own without a second thought. His refusal to give credit infuriated his peers and damaged his reputation in the industry. But the moment that truly sealed his legacy as a troublemaker, his disastrous guest hosting gig on Saturday Night Live. Ignoring the director's instructions, he hijacked the show with over-the-top mugging and unscripted ad-lib, throwing the entire live broadcast into chaos. His arrogance and disregard for professionalism left a permanent stain on his legacy, making him one of the most controversial figures in entertainment history. Frank Fay. Frank Fay is often hailed as a trailblazer of stand-up comedy, laying the foundation for the monologue-style performances we see today. In the 1920s, he was one of vaudeville's highest-paid entertainers, raking in an eye-popping $17,500 per week at the height of his fame. His sharp wit, groundbreaking style, and effortless delivery made him a true star. But behind the charm, a whole different story. Fay's enormous ego, abrasive attitude, and controversial opinions alienated nearly everyone around him, proving that sometimes talent isn't enough to keep people on your side. Fay's peers had plenty to say about him, and none of it was good. He was known for being arrogant, dismissive, and nearly impossible to work with. But what truly made him despised in Hollywood were his openly anti-Semitic views and blatant bigotry, which alienated him from the very industry he helped shape. Despite his comedic brilliance, his inability to form real connections in the business accelerated his downfall. And his personal life? Just as scandalous. His marriage to actress Barbara Stanwyck was riddled with reports of emotional and even physical abuse, revealing a deeply troubling side to Fay's character. Alfred Hitchcock. Alfred Hitchcock is celebrated as one of the most brilliant filmmakers in history, with masterpieces like Psycho, Rear Window, and Vertigo solidifying his legendary status. His groundbreaking techniques and unmatched command of suspense rightfully earned him the title of the Master of Suspense, and his impact on cinema is undeniable. But behind the genius lurked a far darker truth. Hitchcock had a disturbing history of abusive, controlling, and predatory behavior, particularly toward actresses. To him, actors weren't collaborators but mere tools to mold into his vision. He even infamously declared that they should be treated like Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball is nothing short of a television legend. As the unforgettable Lucy Ricardo on I Love Lucy, she didn't just make audiences laugh, she revolutionized the entertainment industry. A powerhouse both in front of and behind the camera, she broke barriers as a performer, producer, and studio executive, securing her place in Hollywood history. But off-screen, she was nothing like her lovable, zany character. Behind the scenes, Ball was known for being demanding, distant, and at times downright dismissive, leaving many surprised by the stark contrast between her public and private personas. Ball's rigid, hierarchical approach to relationships made her notoriously difficult to approach. One particularly infamous story perfectly captures her attitude: a tense encounter with a flight attendant during a plane ride. Instead of speaking directly, Ball reportedly had her assistant relay every message, allegedly stating, "Miss Ball doesn't speak to the help." The remark left a lasting impression, reinforcing the sense of superiority she often projected. Even among her peers, this aloof and demanding demeanor made it clear Lucille Ball expected to be treated like royalty. Love her or not, there's no denying that her legacy is one of groundbreaking innovation and undeniable influence. Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin, the undisputed king of silent cinema, changed the film industry forever with his iconic tramp character and masterpieces like City Lights and The Great Dictator. A true visionary, he didn't just star in films, he wrote, directed, and produced them, redefining storytelling on screen. But behind the genius was a deeply controversial figure. Chaplin's personal life was anything but spotless, filled with scandals that shattered the pristine image so many had of him. One of the most disturbing aspects of Chaplin's life wasn't on the big screen. It was his unsettling relationships with much younger women. His first two wives, Mildred Harris and Lita Gray, were barely out of childhood when he married them, fueling speculation about his predatory tendencies. Behind closed doors, Chaplin's controlling nature reportedly created toxic, emotionally abusive relationships. But the biggest scandal came in the 1940s, when actress Joan Barry dragged him into a sensational paternity lawsuit. Although Chaplin was ultimately cleared of the claims, the trial exposed shocking details about his personal life, forever tarnishing his once golden reputation. Steve McQueen. Steve McQueen was the ultimate symbol of rugged cool, dominating the screen in classics like Bullitt, The Great Escape, and The Magnificent Seven. With his effortless charisma and brooding intensity, he became one of the biggest movie stars of the 1960s and 1970s. But behind the Hollywood glamour was a man haunted by a troubled past. Raised in a world of abandonment and abuse, McQueen carried those scars into adulthood, shaping his often abrasive personality and turbulent relationships, both on and off the set. His real-life struggles were just as intense as the roles he played. McQueen's personal life was just as chaotic as his on-screen persona. His marriages and friendships were plagued by infidelity, controlling tendencies, and an explosive temper that pushed many to their limits. While his talent and star power remain undeniable, his erratic and often combative nature revealed a far more complex and troubled side to Hollywood's ultimate tough guy. Behind the smoldering gaze and effortless cool was a man whose own demons were never far behind. Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly is hailed as one of Hollywood's greatest talents, a true triple threat who transformed the musical genre with his incredible singing, dancing, and acting. Classics like Singin' in the Rain and An American in Paris cemented his legacy as a cinematic icon. But behind that dazzling smile was a ruthless perfectionist whose relentless drive often veered into outright cruelty. His obsession with perfection created a high-pressure, sometimes unbearable atmosphere on set, especially for his co-stars, who often found themselves struggling to meet his impossibly high standards. Kiefer Sutherland. Kiefer Sutherland became a household name thanks to his role as the unstoppable Jack Bauer in the smash hit series 24. His intense, no-nonsense performance earned him an Emmy and a devoted fan base, but off-screen, a very different story. Sutherland's behavior behind the scenes has been a magnet for controversy, with multiple co-stars and collaborators calling out his unprofessionalism and volatile temperament. His reputation for being difficult has followed him just as closely as his on-screen heroics. Despite his undeniable talent and industry accolades, his difficult behavior left many colleagues with bitter memories that overshadow his professional achievement. Faye Dunaway. Faye Dunaway is a powerhouse actress, known for unforgettable performances in Bonnie and Clyde, Network, and Chinatown. Her on-screen brilliance is undeniable, but behind the scenes, she's gained a reputation as one of Hollywood's most difficult and demanding stars. Her talent may shine, but her behavior often takes center stage in stories from the set. Faye Dunaway's behavior on set has earned a reputation for being erratic, demanding, and at times downright hostile. One of the most infamous incidents took place during the filming of Mommy Dearest, when co-star Rutanya Alda claimed Dunaway slapped her hard during a scene, and it wasn't part of the script. The blow left Alda visibly shaken, a stark example of Dunaway's unpredictable temper that's left a lasting impression on those who worked with her. Errol Flynn. Errol Flynn was one of Hollywood's most captivating leading men during the 1930s and 1940s, known for his iconic roles in The Adventures of Robin Hood, Captain Blood, and the Seahawk. With his striking good looks, undeniable charm, and magnetic on-screen presence, Flynn was the epitome of Hollywood's golden age. But behind the scenes, his life was a whirlwind of scandal, reckless behavior, and legal battles, casting a shadow over his professional accomplishments and tarnishing his public image. One of Flynn's most infamous controversies erupted in 1942 when he was charged with statutory rape involving two teenage girls. The trial became a media frenzy, with sensational details splashed across the front pages of newspapers. While Flynn was ultimately acquitted, the scandal left an indelible mark on his public image, giving birth to the notorious phrase, "in like Flynn," which became synonymous with his reckless promiscuity. Sean Connery. Sean Connery will always be remembered as the original James Bond, the role that catapulted him to superstardom and solidified his place as a Hollywood legend. With his suave charm, magnetic presence, and effortless sophistication, he became one of the most adored actors of his era. But off-screen, his reputation was far less glamorous. In a 1965 Playboy interview, Connery stunned the public when he declared, "I don't think there is anything particularly wrong with hitting a woman." He went even further, insisting that an open-handed slap was acceptable in certain situations. The backlash was swift, but Connery refused to back down. Decades later, in a tense interview with Barbara Walters, he doubled down, stating flatly, "I haven't changed my opinion." Steven Seagal. Steven Seagal rose to fame as one of the biggest action stars of the 1990s, showcasing his martial arts skills in hits like Under Siege and Hard to Kill. But behind the scenes, his reputation was anything but heroic. Seagal has faced accusations of abusive behavior, harassment, and an overblown ego that drove away many of his colleagues. One of the most infamous incidents took place on the set of Executive Decision, where Seagal allegedly attacked actor John Leguizamo. According to Leguizamo, Seagal shoved him against a wall simply for laughing during a rehearsal, an unsettling display of his explosive temper. Despite his early rise to Hollywood fame, Seagal's legacy has been tainted by accusations of arrogance, misconduct, and unprofessional behavior. While his action films still have a loyal fan base, his off-screen actions have cast a long, dark shadow over his career. Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes became a Hollywood sensation with his electrifying performances in Blade, White Men Can't Jump, and New Jack City. But while his talent on screen was undeniable, his off-screen behavior was often described as unpredictable, unprofessional, and downright combative. On the set of Blade, Trinity, Snipes' behavior became so erratic and disruptive that working with him was nearly impossible. Co-star Patton Oswalt claimed Snipes refused to speak directly to director David Goyer, instead sending messages through post-it notes signed Blade. He allegedly clashed with the cast and crew, spending hours locked in his trailer and demanding to be addressed only as Blade while on set. The chaos reached a breaking point when Snipes reportedly tried to strangle Goyer during a heated argument. Hollywood has long been a land of contradictions, where larger-than-life stars are worshipped for their talent, yet their darkest flaws often stay buried in the shadows. The figures featured in this video show how fame and power can sometimes magnify the worst aspects of human nature. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like this video and mention your thoughts in the comments. Also, consider subscribing to the channel so you never miss our latest videos. Thanks for watching.